It's an evening in Metropolis. A gang of robbers make their getaway on top of a building's helipad. The criminals scamper, knowing in the back of their minds someone they definitely have no chance against might arrive at any second to stop them. Suddenly, their guns glow red hot, forcing them to let go. At the same time, their getaway helicopter's propellers stop spinning as they become frozen. The criminals know what's up. They know that their plan has gone belly up the moment they hear his voice. The voice of Superman. The Man of Steel tells the masked criminals that he's giving them one chance to surrender peacefully, but one of the gang members starts to panic and pulls the trigger of his pistol, firing a bullet right into Superman's chest. The criminal knows that hot lead won't do anything to the big blue Boy Scout. That is, until he and his gang witness the bullets pierce through Superman. A second later, all the Man of Steel can do is stare at the blood leaking from his body as the world's greatest superhero falls hundreds of stories from the air. But this isn't where our true story starts, because the wheels started to turn 28 hours ago. Just a day and some change earlier, we find that Animal Man and his kid Animal Girl coming home from one of their father-daughter camping trips. It's an otherwise normal day. That is until they arrive in the middle of the park at the heart of Keystone City, because the moment they do, the people around them start to panic and run away. They go on the offensive and start by stoning him at first before a mob rushes in to beat the living daylights out of him. Animal Man has no idea why this is happening, and the only thing his daughter can do is plead with the crazed, blood-hungry mob to stop. Unbeknownst to both father and child, this gruesome scene is being streamed as it happens, and they know even less that somewhere, someone out there has declared that superheroes are a legitimate threat to the world. Back in Gotham, the Dark Knight detective and his trusty sidekick Robin watch the news report of Animal Man's brutal beatdown, and we find out that he's been taken to the ICU after the incident. Alarmed, Batman opens up the Red Channel, a secure comm line where he and the other superheroes of the DC universe can coordinate with one another, and what they discover is truly hair-raising. For one, footage has been released depicting the world's strongest mortal himself, Captain Marvel, wrecking an entire city block and dispatching scores of civilians. Except, that's impossible. As fellow superhero Mr. Terrific can attest, Captain Marvel couldn't have gone on a citywide rampage. That's because they were together fighting off the supervillain Giganta at the same time this alleged superhero massacre was going on. Former Robin, Nightwing, reports the same thing is happening to him and the Titans. Alleged footage of them taking out an entire refugee camp had been recently released, except not a single member of the Titans was near such a place during the reported time of the incident. The latest of these egregious footage to be released shows Green Lantern Hal Jordan teaming up with Supergirl to trample and take out ordinary non-superpowered citizens. And it's absolutely ridiculous, because one, Hal Jordan isn't even a Green Lantern at the moment, and two, Supergirl is currently off-world on a space mission. While all of this is happening, Aquaman and the other heroes receive news that locals have burned Doom Patrol's home base to the ground, while Black Lightning and his entire family have been hospitalized after getting mobbed. This is happening everywhere, whether it's video of Firestorm nuking a hospital or the Blue Beetle stabbing and zapping regular humans on the streets. But again, each and every superhero knows that it's all fake. In fact, Wally West, the Flash, calls it as it is. This is AI out of control. Someone is keying in prompts all in the name of smearing the identities of each and every superhero on the planet. He calls for his fellow heroes to band together to stop this threat, but there's no Justice League right now, since they've disbanded recently. Meanwhile, in Metropolis, Clark Kent and the Daily Planet editor-in-chief Lois Lane see some of the deepfake videos playing on the screens of their office. Lois asks Clark what he and the other heroes have done, but the Man of Steel reassures her that none of this footage is real. Suddenly, one of Lois's subordinates, Lucille, barges into her office and outright demands her boss to run the story about this ongoing superhero rampage. Hearing this, Lois puts her overzealous employee in place when she tells Lucille that the Daily Planet does not run unverified reports. But the fire is only stoked when an ace photographer, Jimmy Olsen, shows Lois a webpage playing the exact same AI garbage that the other news outlets are running. Except this is the Daily Planet's website, and Jimmy reveals that someone from the outside has hijacked the Daily Planet servers to run this lazy, prompted garbage on their respected platform. And it's at this point that we find out who's behind all of this. The person behind this trashy AI-generated footage and the announcement denouncing superheroes as a whole is Amanda Waller, director of the Government Bureau of Sovereignty. Inside the GBS headquarters, Sarge Steele, Amanda's right-hand man, has his own reservations for the way the director is conducting this operation. According to him, the GBS was meant to monitor the world's superheroes, not cause mass hysteria. But Amanda just brushes him off, and in a truly villainous move, she tells Sarge Steele that the GBS's mandate is whatever the hell she wants it to be. You see, Amanda has been on a crusade to take out anyone with superpowers right from the beginning. In her perspective, she and the GBS aren't spreading fake news, they're just reminding the world that this is what superheroes might do if they don't do anything to stop them. Amanda then takes Steele to a secret room deep within the GBS HQ to show him how she was able to spread all that footage to brainwash the people of the world. Inside this room is a female humanoid with hundreds of tubes attached to her. As Amanda puts it, it's the so-called bride of the sentient supercomputer Brainiac, and she's using it to churn out her smear campaign against the DCU's heroes as they speak. Later, the android villain Failsafe approaches Amanda to tell her that her plan is now ready for its second phase. It then turns to Sarge Steele to ask the man if he has any problems with what their organization is doing. Steele lets the android know that he remains firm in his duty to protect the country from any and all threats. Still, he can't help but wonder if Amanda's actually going on a crusade for the same reasons, or if she's simply blinded by her hate for the superhero community. Not long after that, Amanda gives Failsafe and Suicide Squad member Dreamer the order to start phase 2 of their plan, to hunt down each and every superhero they can find. Back at Titan's tower, Cyborg Circuits short out when he tries to find out who's the mastermind of this smear campaign. All the while, Barbara Gordon, aka Oracle, tells the other active superheroes that the deepfakes are getting worse by the minute. Batman and Robin attempt to do some damage control on the ground, and in Bloodhaven, Nightwing correctly surmises that there's only one person scummy enough to go as low as this to try to discredit the superhero community: Amanda Waller. Riots all around the world, from London to South Carolina, continue to rage as DC's heroes scamper to regroup and strategize. In the present, we finally find out what exactly happened to the Man of Steel before those bullets pierced his chest. Unknown to Superman, a targeting system meant to depower him has already put Superman in his crosshairs while he's busy talking to the robbers on the helipad. The next thing we know, Superboy and Jon Kent, Clark's kid, are taken by surprise when they hear a couple of gunshots and see the Man of Steel falling to his death. They catch the Kryptonian before he crashes on the streets of Metropolis and hurry to bring Supes to the nearest hospital. But while they're busy trying to save Superman, the two half-Kryptonians fail to notice that the same targeting system has put them in their crosshairs. A second later, a frequency rocks both Jon and Superboy, causing them to crash into the ground. At that same moment, Batman and the rest of the superheroes witness the fake videos stop streaming when Amanda Waller makes a worldwide announcement that any and all metahumans are a threat to humanity. They should be stopped permanently. The same targeting system then hits each and every remaining superhero throughout the world, depowering them in a single stroke. Batman's too late to notice the fact that Amanda had only made this announcement because she knew she had already won. It's revealed that these targeting systems belong to a horde of Amazos under Amanda Waller's command, with each of them interconnected through Failsafe's hive mind. The robotic power thieves continue their campaign of terror against these superheroes, depowering everyone from metahumans to magic users. In fact, it seems that only Batman and Robin are able to escape their grasp, given that, they're regular humans to begin with. The Dark Knight desperately calls for any remaining superhero to retreat and regroup, thinking that the Red Channel is still safe from Amanda's prying ears. But then, we find out that Amanda and the GBS have long been made aware of Red Channel, and it's all thanks to the superhero turned traitor, Oliver Queen, aka Green Arrow. It's revealed that Ollie has decided to team up with Amanda and become a member of Task Force 7, one of the GBS's superhero hunting groups. And the reason? Well, Ollie shares the same sentiments as Amanda, that superheroes do more bad than good in the world. Don't be too surprised about this heel turn though. Green Arrow is the kind of guy who thinks the word effort starts with the letter F. Green Arrow reveals that Amanda has basically cut off all escape routes for any metahuman to take, whether it's deep space or the vastness of the multiverse. Ollie even put it upon himself to cut off everyone from the time stream and the microverse. According to him, there's nowhere for the superhero community to run, and no one is getting their powers back once the Amazos take them, and all throughout the world, superheroes are being rounded up. Somewhere else, a disgruntled Jon Kent regains consciousness only to find himself on a slab deep within the GBS HQ, hooked to dozens of tubes and with no single memory of who he really is. Sometime later, we discover that Amanda's war against the superheroes has been going well. She and the GBS have rounded up a significant chunk of the superpowered community, incarcerating them inside the Metahuman Defense Center in Gamora Island. They've successfully rounded up 80% of the superhero community, but it's not exactly a landslide victory. The remaining 20% that they haven't caught yet are made up of DC's A-listers. To complicate matters for Amanda, these heroes have managed to make a concerted effort to go underground and hide themselves from the GBS sites. The Bride of Brainiac, which Amanda has started to dub as Brainiac Queen, suggests that they hunt down the remaining superheroes' loved ones to flush them out of hiding. But Amanda is against this. She might hate metahumans, but she draws the line at harming civilians. According to Amanda, she's not a sociopath. With that, the GBS director gives out her orders. First, she commands Green Arrow and Failsafe to continue hunting and detaining any superheroes they can find. She then orders Dreamer to prepare to go on the field together with their so-called asset. As for Brainiac Queen, Amanda assigns her the job of bringing a full frontal assault against the superheroes along with their very own guide, referring to Jon. In the meantime, Batman and the remaining superheroes of the DCU have found themselves holed up inside Superman's Fortress of Solitude. On the bright side, the Man of Steel has recovered from the gunshots he took, thanks to the Kryptonian containment suit he's wearing now. Wonder Woman proposes that they come up with a plan for a counterattack, but in order to do that, they're gonna need to appoint a leader. Aquaman tries to assume the role, but Mr. Terrific tells him that it's not his call. Their selection process dissolves into an aimless argument a few seconds later. Superman can't be their leader because he's not smart enough. Mr. Terrific's smart enough, but Batman has more experience. Bats has more experience, but he's a bit of a loner. Their grandstanding only stops when Wonder Woman intervenes and tells each and every one of the boys to stop fighting amongst themselves. Seeing this, Diana even expresses her regret for disbanding the Justice League. But things take a turn for the better when Nightwing steps in and does an absolute MVP move. He gives all the heroes inside the fortress a rousing speech about overcoming adversity and the true meaning of heroism, which makes them realize that Nightwing is that guy. He should be the leader. In fact, Batman goes full dad mode and shows how proud he is of his protege, calling Nightwing his boy. Dick Grayson then takes point and comes up with a plan to mount an offensive against Amanda and the GBS. He and the Titans will provide the rest of the heroes with defense. He then calls on Batman to retrieve Amanda Waller's mother box to help them access the power of the new gods. Meanwhile, Nightwing gives Superman the job of scouring the multiverse for allies who can help them in their fight. Nightwing then calls for Black Canary's help in retrieving Green Arrow, while he asks for Wonder Woman's help to free the captured superheroes. With their roles in the upcoming campaign set, Superman steps in and tells his comrades that they're welcome to use his fortress armory. Plus, he informs everyone that he has a secret emergency weapon in case push comes to shove. And to further sweeten the pot, Superman gives his former Justice League teammates each their own tactical suits to help augment their abilities. While this is happening, Mr. Terrific pulls a young superhero named Airwave aside. You see, Airwave has the ability to transform into radio waves, and according to Mr. Terrific, that's the power he needs right now. He also invites Ted Kord, the OG Blue Beetle, to help him with this project. Later, we find Superman down in the dumps again as he talks to Aquaman about Jon. The King of Atlantis reassures him that his son's most likely safe somewhere out there, but their heart-to-heart is interrupted when a couple of the GBS agents barge into the Fortress of Solitude, and it's none other than the Brainiac Queen and a Brainiac virus-infected Jon Kent. Nightwing can barely shield Supes away from Jon's energy blast when he tries to reach out to his son, but they're not down for the count as the new leader of this metahuman resistance mobilizes the rest of the Titans to face Jon head on. Meanwhile, Superman asks Brainiac Queen what she did to Jon, but the only answer that the sentient supercomputer gives him is that it's her mother Amanda's orders. She then uses her powers to neutralize Wonder Girl, Black Orchid, and Red Tornado before trying to hurl them into a portal linked to their metahuman prison. Batman and the rest of the active superheroes do their best to defend themselves against the ambush, while Superman pleads with Jon to fight Brainiac Queen's control over him. In a corner, Dreamer slips into the fortress and unleashes the asset that Amanda told her to bring. It's revealed it's another one of the Amazo androids, which promptly starts depowering the heroes that it comes across. Zealot tries to stem the tide by cleaving the Amazo robot with her sword, but it starts regenerating after a few moments. After seeing this, Batman can't help but wonder that he's seen the same energy signature from this robot somewhere else before. Meanwhile, Mr. Terrific, Blue Beetle, and Airwave hurry to finish their project at the far end of the fortress. At the same time, the Flash notices that Superman's attempts at convincing Jon to break free from Brainiac isn't working, so he grabs a box of kryptonite and brandishes it in front of them to help weaken the mind-controlled half-Kryptonian. At the same time, Batman grabs the Phantom Zone projector from one of the shelves, but the fully regenerated Amazo takes it from him and hurls it away, but the Dark Knight manages to ultimately break free from his enemy by assaulting the robot with sonic waves straight to its head. The Phantom Zone projector lands near Mr. Terrific and Blue Beetle, and both of them realize that it's the missing piece to their little project. While all this is happening, Dreamer continues to skulk around the fortress and requests Amanda for extraction after seeing the sheer brutality of this encounter. Her boss refuses and threatens her family if she decides to retreat from this battle. Dreamer tries to plead with Amanda, telling her that these heroes aren't their enemies, but the GBS director drops the call. At the same time, Flash's kryptonite gambit works and allows Jon to get back to his senses for a few moments. He tells his dad that there's a way to end all this bloodshed as he pulls Superman close. At that moment, Brainiac takes control of Jon again and tries to infect the Man of Steel with the Brainiac virus. Not too far away, Brainiac Queen spots the bottle city of Kandor and attempts to take it with her. Aquaman and Wonder Woman arrive just in the nick of time to break Kandor's glass case, which releases an entire army of miniaturized Kryptonians who start attacking Brainiac Queen. Jon continues to spread the virus to his dad amidst Dreamer's pleas to stop, but he doesn't hear any of it. The big blue Boy Scout is only saved when Flash double backs on his Speed Force cycle to drag Jon away from Supes. Flash then drives his cycle into a wall in an attempt to knock out Jon. At the same time, we find out that Mr. Terrific's project is finished. It's a transportal exit that will help them retreat, while Brainiac Queen manages to subdue the Kryptonians attacking her. Batman sees this and expresses his frustration that their Hail Mary failed against the sentient supercomputer. However, Superman tells him that the Kandorians aren't their final gambit, as he initiates the fortress's secret weapon, a self-destruct sequence that will destroy everything within it. It takes all of 10 seconds for the remaining superheroes to hop into Mr. Terrific's portal. Superman almost doesn't make it out, but Dreamer decides to betray Amanda and the GBS after everything she's seen here, so she attacks Brainiac Queen to buy some time for them to escape. A huge explosion destroys the entire fortress. In the aftermath, Jon rises from the rubble and gets back his senses for a few moments. Back on Gamora Island, Amanda receives a report that Dreamer is one of the casualties from the explosion. She and Sarge Steel aren't too concerned about losing her though, because their true prime asset Jon is still active. Steel expresses his worry that Jon might turn against them, especially now that Brainiac Queen is out of the picture. Hearing this, Amanda reassures her second in command that Brainiac Queen is alive and well, because right in the middle of where the Fortress of Solitude once stood, Brainiac Queen fully recovers from her injuries and reinfects Jon with the virus. According to Amanda, this boy is all they're going to need to hunt down the remaining superheroes. Steel then informs Amanda that he's assigned Green Arrow to catalog this confiscated weapons they got from the Justice League. Unknown to them, Ollie's making moves of his own as he stares at an hourglass in the middle of the GBS archives and says the words, "Time's up." Somewhere in the Gateway City, Hawkgirl tries to send out a feeler to her fellow superheroes for an extraction away from the streets. She reveals that her team got depowered after they encountered Amanda's fearsome five. Unknown to the two of them, GBS agents have already surrounded the two fugitive heroes. On Gamora Island, Amanda kicks up the gears on her operations by including supervillains to their list of targets. And more strikingly, she decides to expand her reach and hunt down metahumans overseas. And in the aftermath of the ambush of the Fortress of Solitude, the remaining DC superheroes have found themselves on a remote island. Red Tornado helps Dr. Midnight get on his feet as the blind man laments how the Amazo android destroyed the only thing he thinks makes him a superhero: his special lenses. Without them, Dr. Midnight is just an old blind guy. However, Nightwing arrives to tell them that they haven't lost everything, considering that they're all still alive after what happened at the fortress. We then find out that the portal led them to Themyscira, the home of the Amazons. Wonder Woman and Donna Troy managed to convince its queen, Nubia, to allow them to find refuge on the island. The new god, Big Barda, asks Mr. Terrific why they chose this place, and it's because Themyscira's magical cloaking spell is the only thing on Earth that a Kryptonian like Jon can't sense, so it's the only safe place where they can hide out right now. Starfire asks the rest of the group what they should do about Jon. Zealot thinks that they should take him out with kryptonite that Flash got from the fortress. Dr. Midnight and Big Barda share the same opinion, but Nightwing tells them that there's no way they're going to assassinate Jon. As he puts it, Jon isn't the enemy here, he's a casualty of war. Big Barda protests against Nightwing's decision to spare Jon's life, but Nightwing isn't hearing any of it, so the New God begrudgingly agrees with their new leader. Shortly after, Nightwing gives the rest of the Resistance a status update on what's happening with their planned offensive. Black Canary is set out on her own to take back Green Arrow and find out why he betrayed his friends. At the same time, Batman, Supes, Wonder Woman, Robin, and Zatanna have each headed out to carry out their respective tasks to help the war effort. Nightwing then gives us another Captain America level pep talk as he tells the rest of the heroes that they might be beaten right now, but they're not broken. He tells them that they're going to hit Amanda and the GBS hard with a counteroffensive. Hal Jordan steps in to hand his friends weapons and tools that they managed to salvage from the Justice League's vaults. Later, Nightwing assigns Flash and Hal a very important job to ransack Amanda's base and gather all the intel they can about the Amazos. Then he asks Aquaman, Blue Beetle, Red Tornado, and Yara to locate a metahuman Suicide Squad member named John Starr. Lastly, Dick gives out the orders for Donna Troy, Big Barda, Changeling, and the rest of their squad to guard Themyscira in the event that Jon finds them. As for Nightwing himself, he and the rest of the active superheroes will continue to scour for distress signals and rescue the other metahumans being hunted out there. Sometime later, we find out that Amanda has successfully persecuted metahumans from other countries as well. In Shanghai, the PRC's top brass hold a meeting after the GBS captured their own superhero team, the Great 10. They discuss whether they should declare war against the US, but Failsafe bursts into their war room to inform the Chinese officials that Amanda and the GBS aren't even working under the US government anymore. She's decided to go rogue and become an independent global superpower. China tries to threaten Amanda by informing Failsafe that they're going to release her secrets out into the world, but the robot enforcer tells them to shut their presumptuous mouths because they know more about them than they do about Amanda's dirty laundry. That's because Brainiac Queen has been busy infiltrating not only China's government servers, but the databases of every other superpower in the world, like Japan and Russia. Amanda then gives Failsafe a call. She's frustrated that the Amazos aren't performing as well as he promised, so the robotic enforcer does a remote diagnostic scan of the power-thieving androids. He discovers that the Amazos are suffering from an infection which stems from the slivers of morality that they absorb from the superheroes along with their powers. Amanda groans when she finds out about this, as it basically implies that being a good guy in the DCU is a superpower. But Failsafe reassures her that everything is under control. All they have to do is restart the Amazos operating system. In the middle of this, Barry Allen, the OG Flash, manages to escape the clutches of one of the Amazos when it reboots for a second mid-chase. Barry suddenly receives a call from a mystery man who tells him to go to the lower levels of the GBS Supermax prison on Gamora Island. Barry asks the mystery caller what should he do there, and the person on the other end tells him to do what he usually does in a crisis: save the world or die trying. While this is happening, Aquaman and his team are busy fighting off Bizarro aboard a ship. They ultimately defeat the supervillain when Aquaman traps Bizarro in an illusion using the Black Mercy, which makes the villain think he's won their bout. Below deck, Blue Beetle and Red Tornado rush to locate John Starr. They manage to find him trapped in one of the cells, but Suicide Squad member Black Alice tries to ambush them. However, Starr, Blue Beetle, and Red Tornado escape with the help of the late superhero Aztec's helmet, which gives them the ability to become intangible. Yara then knocks out Black Alice with a solid punch to the back of her head. They were just about ready to leave when another Suicide Squad member, Deadeye, appears out of nowhere and shoots Red Tornado in the head. Still, Aquaman and the rest of the team manage to make it through the portal and escape before any more damage could be done. In Costa Rica, Batgirl and Zealot have just rescued Black Orchid from one of the Amazos, but they're having trouble shaking off the power-stealing robot. Suddenly, a couple of newly emerged superheroes intervene to help the heroes. Amanda sees this from her base and can't believe that there are still metahumans out there who are willing to oppose her. Green Arrow then tells her that her crappy fake news campaign can only get her so far. Back on Themyscira, Aquaman gives Airwave a much-needed ego boost after the boy confides in him and how useless he feels without his powers. Aquaman tells him to keep fighting the good fight to honor those that they've lost. We then find out that the Amazons have graciously granted Mr. Terrific his own lab on the island, but his plans of doing any experiments there are cut off when Brainiac Queen suddenly materializes through the lab's tech. At the same time, Jon arrives on Themyscira's shores and starts attacking both the Amazons and the fugitive superheroes. Brainiac Queen reveals that she's used Red Tornado's systems to locate them. The situation is dire as the mind-controlled Jon continues to wreak havoc on the island. Seeing no other choice, Big Barda grabs the kryptonite shard from the fortress and loads it in a rifle to shoot Jon. Raven protests against this, but Barda tells her that what Nightwing doesn't know won't hurt him. But here's the thing, Nightwing does know, so he hurls one of his Escrimas right at her hand before Barda can shoot Jon. Dick is furious too, as he chastises Barda for blatantly ignoring his orders and almost jeopardizing his and Mr. Terrific's secret plan to stop Jon without taking him out. Nightwing then lures Jon to land on the island, and their mind-controlled friend gets instantly zapped with Themyscira's concentrated magical energy the moment he sets foot on it. This is the secret trap that Nightwing was talking about, and it's enough to shake Brainiac's control off of Jon. Regaining his consciousness, Jon then gives Brainiac Queen a taste of her own medicine by showing her the truth. Using a mind link, Jon makes the sentient supercomputer realize that Amanda has been lying to her all along, that they've been hunting down the good guys this whole time. Just in time too, because Batman has just arrived with the mother box he stole from Amanda. Amanda sees Brainiac Queen fritzing out, so she overrides her systems and takes control of the sentient supercomputer's cybernetic body. Amanda tries to take out Jon, but the Dark Knight uses the mother box to send Brainiac Queen's body to Pluto. In the aftermath of the battle, Superman reunites with his son as Donna Troy apologizes to Queen Nubia for bringing the war to Themyscira's shores. However, Nubia tells them that they have to win this war now, otherwise Waller will surely hunt down the Amazons too. The rest of the superhero group and Nightwing thanks Zatanna for coming in clutch and transporting them to Themyscira in the nick of time. Wally West also informs him that he's retrieved a ton of information about the Amazons during his mission. With that, Nightwing tells the Resistance to gear up. They're gonna take the fight to GBS. But he notices that his old mentor Batman is missing from the gathering. That's because not too far away, in a secluded part of Themyscira, Dark Knight is using his classic intimidation tactics to force John Starr to come with them. And the reason for that? Well, Batman knows that Starr is the only person who knows how to return the superhero's powers back to them. Somewhere else, Barry Allen arrives at the basement of Amanda's Supermax prison. There, he finds a transmitter machine. The mystery caller informs him that Amanda stole all of this, and Barry realizes that she's planning on further expanding her crusade against superheroes by creating an entire multiversal army to take out metahumans across all realities. The shock of this revelation makes Barry fail to notice that a trio of villainous speedsters from the multiverse are already right behind him, gearing for an ambush. The heroes have successfully accomplished their respective assignments as Green Arrow has ordered all of their troops to regroup and defend their Supermax prison on Gamora Island. His conversation with Amanda got so heated that the director of the GBS slaps Ollie so hard that you'd think we're watching a soap opera. Still, cooler heads prevail, and the Emerald Archer reminds Waller that the superheroes are coming for them, but she remains unfazed. Amanda tells him that their enemies are outgunned thanks to the weapons they stole from the Justice League armory. With that, Waller makes it known that she's more than ready to take on these superheroes. We then see that Robin and Wonder Woman have successfully broken out all of the captured heroes from captivity. But it's not all good news, as Diana informs them that at least half of the rescued heroes are too injured to join them in their upcoming assault against GBS. She's worried, but the Flash informs her that everything's gonna be alright. For one, the Scarlet Speedster has pulled all the schematics and maps they need to mount a proper assault on Gamora Island. Even sweeter is that Hal Jordan has finally regained possession of his signature Green Lantern ring. So yeah, they're ready for a fight. Robin informs Hal and Wally that one of their allies, Steve Trevor, informed them that there's something extremely dangerous brewing in the basement of Waller's prison, so they elect to check it out. Nightwing then tells everyone to get ready for the attack, but not before instructing Airwave to stick close to him. With all the preparations set, Nightwing tells Batman that it's time to bring the thunder. So, the Dark Knight uses the Mother Box to create a giant portal right on Gamora Island's shores, and the superheroes go for the full frontal assault. Steel sees this and calls Waller, telling her that their enemies don't stand a chance against them, but all the GBS agents' weapons frizz out and release a devastating electric shock and knocks them out the moment they pull the trigger. Waller sees this and immediately realizes that Green Arrow has just double-crossed her. Inside the basement, Barry Allen is busy avoiding a crew of evil speedsters such as Thunderjolt, Baroness Blitzkrieg, and Johnny Quick. Barry is able to hold his own against the three, but things take a turn for the worse when Johnny Quick attempts to summon backup from across the multiverse. Outside, the battle between the superhero resistance and the GBS is in full tilt as Nightwing tells his friends to keep pushing. Meanwhile, GBS frontliners desperately call for assistance. The heroes manage to create an opening through the GBS's defenses, but it's not yet large enough to bring the heroes inside en masse, so Nightwing and Jon decide to go ahead and hunt down Waller before she can escape. However, the heroes hit a speed bump when Steel orders to activate more of their defense lines. Diana Troy and her crew are incapacitated by a high voltage shock. Meanwhile, heavy fire pins down Wonder Woman's platoon. Cassandra Cain's group isn't faring any better either when a force field stops them in their tracks. But the problem above ground can't even compare to what Barry Allen is going through. The Scarlet Speedster has found himself in Thunderjolt's clutches just as the horde of the multiversal baddies emerge from the gateway. Thankfully, Hal Jordan arrives in the nick of time to create a wall between them and the villains. Thunderbolt gets distracted and Barry knocks him out with supersonic strikes. He then speeds towards the gateway's console to try and close it before more villains can come through. Meanwhile, Green Lantern's power is weakening, which causes his willpower generated wall to crack. All he can do is tell Barry to hurry up and close the gate. Above ground, Wonder Woman has just knocked out Steel, and the other heroes have finally breached the GBS's defenses. Suddenly, the Amazos of Task Force 7 arrive to block the Resistance's path and tell them to surrender. Inside the prison, Nightwing and Jon have finally located Waller. They're just about ready to take her into custody when Failsafe appears out of nowhere to give Nightwing a tight bear hug, while Jon gradually loses his strength when Waller brandishes a kryptonite shard she's been keeping in her pocket. At the same time, Batman, Blue Beetle, and John Starr are inside Failsafe's laboratory. Starr puts the finishing touches on the weapon they've been crafting to give the heroes their edge and their powers back. Batman then explains that the Amazos aren't really self-healing, they're actually literally turning back the clock each time they get destroyed. Doing so allows them to return to their original undamaged state whenever they do get destroyed. With this new weapon, however, Batman and the Resistance aim to turn the clock back further for the Amazos, right down to a point in time before they were able to steal powers from the superheroes. Ultimately, this will weaken the robots and give the stolen powers back to their original owners. All they need is one hit on the Amazo in order to destroy them all. The Dark Knight rushes towards the Amazos, but one of them blasts him, leaving Batman under a pile of rubble. Still, he has the weapon tightly clutched in his hand. Inside the basement, Green Lantern's wall is just about to get destroyed when Wally West and Golden Age Flash, Jay Garrick, arrive to help their friend bolster his willpower with theirs. This reinforces the shield and gives Barry more time to close the gate. Meanwhile, Waller goes on a classic supervillain speech as she tells Nightwing that she only wanted to put the heroes in prison, but now the Resistance has forced her hand to take out each and every one of them. Unknown to her, Green Arrow has located the weapon that Starr created, so he loads it up on his arrow and shoots one of the robots right in the neck. This causes all the Amazos to short out and release all the powers that they've stolen. Everyone from Superman to Wonder Woman regain their abilities and promptly start destroying the Amazos. Waller sees this from her command center and becomes furious. At the same time, we find out that Starr's weapon has even managed to affect Failsafe, which causes him to lose energy and release Nightwing. Nightwing gets ready to face off against Amanda when Dreamer suddenly appears through a portal right beside her and socks her one in the jaw. On the shores of the island, the heroes are finally winning the skirmish. Ollie explains that betraying his friends was all part of his plan to put a stop to Waller's plans. To do that, he had Martian Manhunter create a telepathic implant for him to make Ollie believe that he was deep into Waller's cause and avoid any suspicion from the GBS's mind readers and psychics. When the telepathic implant timed out, just as Ollie had planned, he went back to his original mission, sabotaging the GBS from inside. The Resistance then destroys all the Amazos while Waller wonders how Dreamer survived the blast at the Fortress of Solitude. Dreamer explains that it's all thanks to Jon Kent. It turns out that she did lose her life in the blast, but Jon kept dreaming of her. Inside the basement, even the combined might of the superheroes can barely keep the multiversal villains at bay. Green Lantern tells Barry to close the gate now, but Barry tells them doing this will cut them off from the multiverse permanently. They don't have any other choice. Amanda loses it and starts going on another supervillain tirade about how she fooled the world and made everyone think that superheroes are evil, but her expectations are immediately dashed when Nightwing reveals his ace in the hole. Remember when he told Airwave to stick close to him? Yeah, it's revealed that Airwave has been with Nightwing all along, using his powers to broadcast everything that's going on inside Waller's command center. And that rant about following everybody, yeah, Airwave just broadcasted it to every phone and computer on the screen on Earth. In the aftermath of the battle, we find that Barry has successfully closed the multiversal gate as Wally carries him in his arms when the Resistance regroups. A couple days later, the superheroes rebuild the Fortress of Solitude, while the Flash family had a meeting at home. We find out that Barry was right. Their world has been cut off from the rest of the multiverse after Barry closed the gate. Not only that, but it's revealed that both Wally and Barry have lost their powers because of it. Somewhere else, Green Arrow calls Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman via a secure channel. He asks them to meet with them at their old spot. Back at Belle Reve, Amanda Waller wakes up to find that she's become an inmate within this Supermax prison. Dreamer is in front of her cell and informs the former GBS director that she's been sentenced to solitary confinement for life. Waller brags about how all the charges levied against her won't stick because she knows the secrets of nearly every superhero in the DC universe. She aims to use this as leverage. However, Dreamer quizzes her about these secrets, and Amanda can't remember the answer to a single one. It turns out that Dreamer locked away Waller's memories, which basically makes her forget all the sensitive information she knows. Not only that, but it's implied that Dreamer even planted a bomb inside Amanda's head, the same type of explosive that she used to implant inside members of the Suicide Squad. At the old Justice League HQ, Green Arrow comes to face with the Trinity. Superman informs him that Ollie's actions have left several heroes badly injured. In fact, Red Tornado might not even make it. We then find out from Batman that not everyone's powers went back to their original owners. Some of the superheroes' abilities got swapped, while there are other superpowers still out there that went to entirely new owners. And now it's up to them to locate these new metahumans all over the world. Wonder Woman, on the other hand, expresses that the only thing keeping them from breaking Ollie's arms is the fact that he contributed to the Resistance cause still in the end. The rest of the superhero community is absolutely miffed that the Emerald Archer went rogue and kept them out of the loop. Ollie hears them out and defends his position by telling them that he had no other choice, considering that the Justice League had just been disbanded. He then argues that breaking up their team was a bad idea all along. To Ollie, the world always needs a Justice League, and it's here that we get the big reveal as Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman present Green Arrow with a holographic blueprint of the Watchtower, the new home of the newly re-established Justice League.